So he did a post, and then BioLane, I was watching his story because usually they're pretty good, if not just hilarious. In this case, hilarious. Starts off, what's the difference between sugar and cocaine? Sugar kills more people. So that's a screenshot of his tweet, and then he posted the image of that tweet on Instagram. And so he goes into detail in the description and stuff with the stats. And of course, the argument here is metabolic syndrome at large. Sugar causing metabolic syndrome, killing more people than cocaine. There actually is probably something to look at there for sure. The society realm comes into play here for sure, because people see you're addicted to like eating some fucking Twinkies and some just table sugar in your coffee even. I don't care. People accept that versus snorting cocaine. Less people accept that.
I think when Matt Blackburn talks about sugar, it's very interesting to hear about how it's kind of a fuel source and it's important. Sugar's so interesting because cutting it out is become common now, but it's so rare people would cut out sugar in their life. It's a supply of energy. So people obviously for the past 50, 100 years in the whole this whole boom of food manufacturing have capitalized on the fact that sugar gives you energy. Everyone wants to feel something and have some kind of impact on their body after they consume some piece of food-like substance, right? Just like caffeine, why it becomes so popular, because it has an effect that people can feel. So it becomes a consistent product that people can therefore buy and consume. And it makes a lot of sense from a business perspective. Sugar is the same way because it has an effect and it's important. Cocaine also has an effect, but where do you kind of draw the line between, okay, these two things have effects, but one of them is a beneficial effect and one of them is an effect that is not good for you and dangerous. That's how my mindset was, at least when you think of taking things that have an effect. I was afraid because I was thinking of, okay, drugs have an effect, caffeine has an effect, sugar has an effect. All these things I'm consuming all have this gratification to it that, I never did drugs, but when I took caffeine and sugar, has a gratification to it. And I put it all in the same box, basically, because I was like, oh, you do one thing, I create them. You take one thing and it has an effect. So I was avoiding those things that you would consume and it would have an effect on me because I was afraid of that effect having negative side effects due to knowing that drugs is taking something to get a feeling out of it. And I think it's very easy for people to categorize either the way I did it, or they just see it as like, well, I want to take this because it gives my body this effect and not really care about what the side effects are, or not really know what the side effects are long term. Basically two guys on opposite ends of the spectrum. One guy is like, eat all the sugar you want as long as it makes sense. And one side is like, don't eat any sugar at all because it's crack and you're going to get addicted to it. So I'm just kind of trying to be in the middle of the pack with this one.
Yeah,
because I was on the cocaine side for sure at one point.
Yeah, it's tough because, I mean, both of them elicit different like system state responses. Like cocaine is definitely like a stimulant, and of course sugar is not. Sugar will calm you down and make you pretty docile generally after taking it straight up. So it's definitely a little bit different in those ways throughout the body. And of course, like you said, sugar is an energy source. I would say it's non-nutritious. It's absolutely stripped of everything that could be good in terms of nutrients, except it is a macronutrient as an energy source. For him to postulate like what kills more people, I think he's not necessarily saying that you should not have sugar at all, but maybe he does say that. I don't know. I just know that his statement is not going as far as BioLane was triggered by it, but maybe he's been following him more, so that could be the case. I would say there's more deaths with sugar, absolutely, and it's because it's accepted.
But I do think there's something to be said about sugar being a fuel source for the brain. And I think quality is another prime example of why sugar is demonized, because people aren't eating, like people who are addicted to sugar aren't going in a tub of honey and
Yeah.
eating honey. It's like sugar from sweet treats and from beverages and from different corn syrups and different like chemical laden cane sugars and all that kind of stuff. That's just not really what sugar is. That's not what food is. You got to get back to food at the source of
Yeah.
what it actually is, which is sugars from fruits, honey, saps, fuel, high quality fuel, carbohydrates that our body can use as a source to give us energy, light up our brain, give us focus, give us the ability to be productive, give us the ability to use our bodies and move our bodies. So I think sugar is one of those funny ones. Seeing those two guys go at it, it's like you got to eat any sugar you want. Just count it and make sure it's like you don't go like too high because it's if you eat too much sugar, you're gonna overdo your calories. Another guy's like sugar is the worst thing in the world, and you got to avoid it at all costs.
Dr. James is probably talking to all of the obese people and the layperson that is overweight because of a sugar addiction. So he's helping that group of people. BioLane comes across it and he's like, bro, I just had all this fucking powdered sugar because it's very quickly absorbed. So I'm able to do my squats with my skinny calves real good and it'll fuel my workout, bro. And it's like, yes, that's true. That is true. It'll help fuel your workout. It's quickly absorbed. You're using that energy, but Dr. James's audience is not. So it's not going to work for them because they're adapting their message to their audience. But for the other audience members, which they may be out of touch with, and of course I'm not, because that's, of course, who I wrote my book for, is these people that have the hormone dysfunctions, that have those obstacles. And the BioLane people, probably not so much. And they're probably already on gear covering hormones on that fake base. Sugar may not serve me in any regard, and I rely on it so heavily because it is an addiction and it has led me to where I'm at with my poor health. And that doesn't mean fruit's bad in its whole form, and you should hopefully learn that along the way. And there's definitely those zealots that go way too far and say fruit is bad, but